Ora toko o le me ki she lo hufata. She no toko o ne o toko ona. She o she anataka. Yeso. Imbuku a. Yeso. Welcome, welcome, welcome. May you step out into the unknown to make that part of your unknown known. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Everything is wisdom and understanding. Everything is shifting, and everything is evolution. Welcome. Hi, Marcus.
Hello. Grand day to you, Sandee, and grand day to everybody else. Thank you all that are tapped in and will be joining us in whatever time and space that you come across this wonderful live podcast, Sending Beyond Limitations. As we are now on episode 9, we are rolling along, we are flowing and allowing the divine to continue to channel through us, to continue to shed and spread these messages of enlightenment. And just like Sandee says, take it or leave it. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But just know in these spaces, we are all about freedom, openness, and free will. And these messages are not particular to one person, one culture, one sect of life, but it is for all that are open to receive, as there are no bounds, no limitations upon this information, this energy that is exchanged in these spaces. So thank you guys again for joining us on this journey and continuing to embark upon this raw material, Law of One book study that has been so introspective, but also otherworldly when it comes to the knowledge. And also shout out to everybody else with their podcasts and the spaces that they've held that we've shown throughout this series, whether it's Terrence Howard, Joe Rogan, Billy Carson, Hatton, as well as many other beautiful beings of light. How are you today, Sandee?
I am glorious. I'm just glorious. I have stuck with that word for a while, and it's I think in the gloriousness of it, it's actually feeling the transformations. Before, the transformations would happen, and then I'd see the product or of the transformation. But now I'm actually feeling it. I'm actually open in my body to feel the transformation. Wholeness, goddess, wholeness. So I'm excited. I loved our last episode, the dance episode, that all the energy was moving in my body. I think I was moving the ground on my side. I don't know. I wonder if other Californians felt me moving the ground. It was glorious.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I love some of that classic, I love that classic, 60s, 70s funk. Mm-hmm.
The vibration of that was such a high vibration of love, joy, and it wasn't about, even though the stories were different and they had, different songwriters have different reasons why they write their music. The octaves of the music were just like, I think it was also telling a story. I think the divine was speaking in that as well. Right? So, do you guys want to deep dive? Are you ready to deep dive? You can go as deep as you want. And the divine will say, all you have to do is ask me and I'll bring you up. I mean, I'm on a deep dive. I haven't came up. The divine said, I asked one time, I said, what's going on? And the divine reminded me that you encountered me to take a deep dive. And I said, yes. That's what the divine said to me. Yes. All right. Let it be so. And, off that tippy top of the iceberg, I dove and everything. And I've always been asked, show me those things that I can't see with my physical eyes. I know that there's more. And ever since I was a kid, I would always ask, what more? Anytime I bumped up against something that I said, ooh, that doesn't sound right for me, not right for somebody else, but not right for me. I didn't know it then as a child that I was doing a deep dive. Watermelon.
Watermelon juice.
Yeah.
I'm
so
actually
everybody hydrate,
yes.
keep yourself. I know here in California it's going to be hot. Some places in California it's going to be very dry. I'm already feeling it in my nose. I'm not claiming it. I'm claiming that the divine gift of health speaks to my throat and my nasal passages. And right here, I've got ginger, lemon, and clove tea. So, yeah,
great choice.
I got creative.
I love that. That reminds me, today I went and visited my dad at the hospital. My dad's been in the hospital for about a month and a half. For everybody out there, he had a brain hemorrhage, and he's been going through a very deep process of transformation with his body. A lot of healing, a lot of purging, a lot of just rearranging going on. And I went in today with a new approach. My approach before was very kind of sitting back, allowing the hospital to do their thing. And I've been starting to really build this kind of frustration, like just to be fully vulnerable as a human being. I kind of was building this frustration with, not really seeing very much holistic and in-depth regeneration and healing being put into his organism, into his being through the medical system. The medical system is, it deals with a lot of artificial things, a lot of synthetic things that don't exactly have properties and benefits of actually regenerating and bridging our being and our body into a full healing process. So with that, I just kind of was getting a little irritated. I have 10 years of holistic knowledge, and I've been practicing with many around the world. So I felt, how can I not feel so powerless and be able to integrate and collaborate and work alongside with the medical system? So I really have had to sit in my spirit and sit with the divine the last few days and just really think about the whole process of, how I can approach, how I can integrate what I know and the skills that I have with the medical professionals. And yeah, it definitely was a contrast inside my mind to go through, because there was a little bit of, hate for the medical system. Then there was also, gratitude and love at the same time. So it was just like a real vulnerable human expression and experience to go through that. But what came to me was, I can go in and I can start giving my dad Reiki healing sessions when I visit. And along with that, now that he's able to take puree and liquid-based things, I can start bringing in my own fresh juices for him. So this rising, I did my first full Reiki session on him today, and it was really beautiful. A lot of energy was shifted. The nurse was very awesome about it. She made sure that, she closed the door, and she stood out by the door to make sure nobody knocked on the door to interrupt. It was very beautiful. And we had a great healing session, played some 528 hertz while I was doing it. And I'm going to be bringing him some fresh juice here in a few hours after the podcast. I'm going to make him at home a watermelon juice as well as green apple juice as well to bring. And it's so funny. My dad, he told me to bring one for the nurse as well. He was like, bring one for her, bring two. So I really look forward to that, having this new approach and this new light about, using my power and using the divine and just using the balance with the medical system has definitely brought a whole new light and upliftment to the whole situation. And I definitely feel a lot more uplifted from taking these actions and just really like speaking up and getting clear communication with these nurses and doctors on, okay, so what can I bring in to help? What can I do to help? And what kind of solutions do we have to help rebuild and regenerate on top of the other things that you're doing? And I just encourage everybody, if you have, if you're equipped with the tools, the knowledge, and you really know your stuff when it comes to energy healing and other things, and you have a family member or others that are in the hospital, don't feel like you're powerless to where you can't do energy healing or you can't bring in something that you have or that could bring some type of benefit. But I just definitely also suggest to try to approach it from a loving aspect and a collaborative mindset rather than a me versus the system or me versus the medical system approach. But I just wanted to share that, just to give people a little bit of wisdom and just a little bit to connect with and really process on about what we're capable of doing, even in different professions and other situations. We can still find ways to collaborate and to integrate different things. So watermelon juice is what I'm sipping on right now, staying hydrated. And, juicing is so powerful. And maybe another day we'll talk about the power of juicing and what you can do with juicing. But it's a great way to stay hydrated and a very wonderful way to also quickly and efficiently get your vitamins and minerals throughout the day.
Wonderful.
But that's me. I'm ready to go.
I want to add a little bit to that too. I want to say that Marcus is absolutely correct. There's a way we came into this experience to bring the realm of absolute is what I call it. Other people might call it heaven or whatnot. And if you're a Bible person, it's as it is in heaven, let it be on earth, right? We came into this duality experiencing, bringing the realm of the absolute, the realm of all that is heaven into this duality. And we're supposed to, it's not a thing to take it over, because the divine already has that absolute realm that it is in. It's seeking and expressing through us in this realm, this third density. And we are supposed to blend or collaborate with, I love that. Divine gave me that right now. We're to collaborate with the realm of the heavenly realm with the earthly realm. So what the earthly realm doesn't know yet, we're supposed to bring in that information of the realm of abstract. And I'm going to say that what Marcus said about first having that hate relationship with the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry and everything. He couldn't give his all of his vibratory healing to his dad if he had a little bit of hate for the system. So what he had to do was he just had to surrender into the divineness of the vibration of the Reiki that he was going to give his dad. And the fact that the nurse was on board with, hey, I'll close the door for you. I'm going to give you some privacy. I see that this is an infinite possibility. She may not have said that outwardly, because maybe the hospital that she works for, there's certain things that she can say and certain things that she can't. But her actions, her vibratory actions was like, I'm ready for your dad to be healed. And Marcus embraced that wholly, not just haphazardly, but wholly. He said, well, I've got to give the medical industry some due. I'm going to tell you, I gave the medicine. I would not be here if it was not for the medical industry. if it was not for them taking on the zealous to make sure that I got a biopsy. I got the treatment I needed to get to make the inside tube. I think it was called a dovetailed inside tube, but it was in my breast. Yeah, and at that time, I was just barely learning about the law of attraction. I did know that I grew up in a background where ask, believe, and receive, so I was doing that. But there were these wonderful doctors that through the grace of the divine, of the realm of the absolute, collaborated for my health, because they were all on my team, Sandra, to make sure I got things correctly done. Matter of fact, one doctor was saying she can't have any more estrogen. Take her uterus. And another doctor is saying, no, we don't get women anymore. He's from an older time. We're not going to do this. We're going to do this a little bit. You're going to keep everything. We're going to give you medicine that will lower your estrogen count to safe numbers, which is, hey, and I can't have tofu. No big deal. I can have something else, so I had to collaborate with the industry instead of hate them, because that hate would have killed me, because it would not have allowed the divine to bring in the people that the divine wanted on Team Sandra. Right? We're here in this third density because we're here to live. And if we spend so much time kind of bugging about our living, the expectations of our living, and instead of enjoying the things that we see, if you spend all your time looking at the sky, and the sky is so beautiful and the clouds are so beautiful, and you just got this beautiful picturesque, and then you see a cloud, a plane with a chemtrail. Yeah, it's not the best thing, but if that's what you're focusing on, you're focusing on the man-made and not the God-made. So what does the universe bring into your view? More of what you don't like, because you're vibrating there. So what I did was, the only thing I knew was to vibrate in health. That it was not my time to die. It was not my time to lose either of my breasts. They weren't going to be cutting out my breast. They weren't going to be taking my uterus. And holding fast to the fact that every doctor that showed up in my vibrational space of that thought pattern showed up. And then I had some doctors who whispered to me, in order to feel a little bit better, you can take ginger and turmeric. Okay. There are people on your team. Go find them with your vibration. You came here in this third density to bring the divine and collaborate with your story. Hence, that goes into what we're talking about now. We talked about three other individuals that Ra was talking about. Guess who we're going to talk? Guess where the book opened up for me. I asked the divine, what will I share today? And the book one opened up to Jesus. Book two opened up to Jesus. Right? And I know some people go, oh no, she's going to go off on the Bible, but it's about the questioner asked about Jesus. And Ra, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Are we ready? Are you ready to deep dive? Can I get started, Marcus? Are we ready?
Let's get started.
Let's get this party started, right? Okay. So let's see. Let's see where we're going to start. They were talking about fourth density. And here, the questioner says, let's see where he says fifth density. The questioner says, when Jesus of Nazareth incarnated, was there an attempt by the Orion group to discredit him in some way? Ross said, this is correct. The questioner said, can you tell me what the I'm going to spell that because sometimes two letters that go together don't flow off my tongue really well. So it's O-R-I-O-N, and I think it's Orion group did in...
that's Orion.
Orion? Okay. Can you tell me
like the star constellation?
Pardon?
The star constellation, the planetary system Orion?
Right. And so the questioner says, can you tell me what the Orion group did in order to try to cause his downfall? And Ross says, we may describe in general what occurred. The technique was of building upon other negatively oriented information. This information had been given by the one whom your people call Yahweh. Yahweh is another identity of God, right? Understand, this is a story. The divine was moving through Jesus as the divine is moving through us in the experience. Let's keep going. This information involved many strictures upon behavior and promise power of the third density. Service to self nature. These two types of distortions were expressed upon those already oriented to think these thoughts as these thought forms. They eventually led to many challenges in the entity known as Jesus. It eventually led to one sound vibration complex called Judas. Judas betrayed Jesus, but he was the higher being that came to play that character. If you're writing a script and you're doing a movie, he was cast as that character. As you call this entity, who believed that it was doing the appropriate thing in bringing about or forcing upon the one you call Jesus the necessity for bringing in third density planetary power distortion of third density rule over others. Right? At that time, the ones in power had the control. And the ones who were being controlled wanted to be free. They wanted a savior. But when Jesus came on the scene at the age of 33, they did not receive him as a savior. They did not receive the words that he was saying. He was trying to tell them, the things that I do, you can do. You can free yourself. And that wasn't good for the ones holding power and good for the ones having power, because they wanted a savior that was going to fight for them, that was going to kill for them, that was going to physically free them. Let's go on to see more of what the divine is saying. Ra says, this entity, Judas, felt that if pushed in a corner, the entity you call Jesus would then be able to see the wisdom of using the power of intelligent infinity in order to rule others. So what the higher being, remember we talked about our higher beings coming into this third density with choices, just like we have. The choice to have choose the positive polarity or a negative polarity. Judas chose, the higher being that was Judas, chose the negative polarity. He went along with others that said, ooh, it feels good to control other people. Do you see how and the reason the divine took me there is we are so busy complaining about our leaders that we don't take into account their story and why they're doing what they're doing. If you don't want to play in the playground anymore, you have the free will right to opt out. You can go to your higher being and say, I'm tired of dealing with the political thing. I want to opt out all the way. And your higher being can say, let it be so. What do you want to do now? That's what your higher being is going to ask. But you have to be ready to give an answer. What part of the playground do you want to play at? Because you know that you don't like the control that this group has. When you're opting out, where are you going to go? Right? So then Ross says, the one you called Judas was mistaken in this estimation of the reaction of the entity of Jesus, whose teach/learning, if you're reading this book, the people wrote exactly how Ross spoke, right? Was not oriented towards the distortion. The result resulted in the destruction of the bodily complex of the one known as Jesus. Jesus didn't hold ill will for Judas selling him out for some chump change. Jesus didn't hold malice to the people that nailed him to the cross. Jesus told the higher beingness that he was part of, forgive them. They know not what they're doing. They're kind of asleep to what they're doing. It's okay. I got this. I know what this purpose is for. It was for the purpose of Jesus to understand unconditional love. Back to you, Marcus. Whoa.
Beautiful. What a beautiful way to kick off, So I got something for us. There's this wonderful resource that I like to use, and it's called the Ascension Glossary. Now you guys can find this on any web browser. It's ascensionglossary.com. And what we have here is basically it's a galactic index or glossary of galactic knowledge and cosmic knowledge. So what I have researched for you guys here is the Orion group. And the Orion group here in the Ascension Glossary is the Alpha Draconians. And I'll read a little bit to you guys about what this group of beings are. So the Orion group is a satanic force that has a predatory ideology that uses females as slaves or breeders while seeking territorial dominion on other planets within their wearing and killing culture. They're positioned in the NAA, which is the negative entity or negative agenda, and it's consortium of negative aliens. Now, when it says negative aliens, this is meaning the negative polarity. It's called the Black Sun Program. They are a predator force with a predator mind, which is mainly responsible for creating much of the negative ego in humanity through mind control programming, and they have introduced financial and debt enslavement to planet Earth through banking cartels. Additionally, the Nordics are blonde-looking humans from Orion and are also predatorial. This species is responsible for spreading racism, genetic discrimination, genetic experimentation, such as the Nazi ideology, and they are proponents of promoting their belief system of genetic superiority through spiritually abusive methods of eugenics. The Nordic group was directly involved with Hitler's Germany in World War II. Now, something interesting, and I'm not going to go any further with what I'm going to say, is you hear about eugenics in this modern world. And typically, when you hear about eugenics in this modern time right now, you typically hear about certain names and certain figures tied to eugenics, such as blank Blake Gates, something with a B in the first name, is one of the main frontrunners of eugenics in this current time period. And if anybody knows about blank Gates, there's a lot of experimenting done on humans that is taking place on this planet right now. But then it says, Draco's species are potentially capable of shapeshifting, have extremely developed psychic abilities, which allow them to possess or enter bodies through consciousness projection. Therefore, as they originate, form a phantom matrix system, or you can also call it a shadow matrix system of quote-unquote satanic-based AI-infected entities. Many of these Draco entities are confused by people as the devil, or believing they are Satan as an individual figure. So then I'll lastly share
And we have to remember that all these entities are
I'll just
aspects
leave that right there.
of the divine.
Yep.
Right?
So when we're educating ourselves about this stuff.
Yeah.
So when we're educating ourselves on this stuff, I want us to keep in mind that we're observing and we are coming across this knowledge as neutral, pure knowledge. It's not something out of fear. It's not something out of love even. It's just knowledge of what is. And when we study this, we come into an understanding of, okay, this is what this type of archetype is. This is what this type of form of existence is. This is what this type of energy field and signature represents, and what type of characteristics and properties it brings into this existence. That's the best way that I explain it to people.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I was reading something that Goddess had said. I had to get out of your Instagram page because something went wrong, and I had to get back in. So forgive me. I'm becoming professional with this. So anyway, but Marcus was in my head because that's exactly what I was going to say. Is all of this information is for you to discern and find out where you fit in the information for you, because one size doesn't fit all. All of what we're learning about, just as we're growing and expanding, there are other planets that are within, that are part of the expression of the divine, that are learning as well. They're having they're where we were when we were in, they might not even be in the top of their third density. They might be just coming online with their at the bottom of third density, figuring out who they are and doing the same shit we're doing. As humanity, we're looking out into space thinking that we have to conquer things. We're thinking that we're on top of the food chain, sort of speak, because in the Bible, the divine or God gave us dominion over everything. That means we can put everything, every species of anything underneath our foot, right? Not to collaborate with consciousness as a dog, cat, deer, as a bear, as a mountain, as a tree. We believe we can put our foot down on everything, and if anything does not concur with us, we get to destroy it. Well, there are other planets out there and other beings that are growing like us. And yes, there was a point in time where once upon a time, the Draconians and all these people shared third density with us. But their exploration was about to take over and kill off Earth conscious, destroy Earth conscious. That's why the three waves of volunteers came. Earth consciousness called out and said, wait, they're not playing the game fair anymore. They're going against the rules that we set up. And the divine said, okay, can I do this now? Earth consciousness said yes. So a lot of these higher beings that were moving through fourth density and third density and doing the shit that they were doing, because they were doing it. Why? Because they had free will to do it. Why? Because Earth consciousness said, if you want to play on my playground, here are the rules. And then the divine said, okay, well, Dracons, you got to go back to fourth density. You can't come back in. And by that time, there were, just like you have a black man and a white woman having a baby, you have a mixed baby. Some of them had to stay because they were they vibrated more as humans than they vibrated as other beings, fourth density beings. But guess what? Their powers, if you have free will, they have free will. If they want to be on the negative polarity, they can. And they can utilize their quote unquote powers that they have to read your mind. But you have to give them permission. Your free will is there. And guess what? If you want to go and the only time that you can be connected to the fourth density polarity is when you dream. So if you're so excited about doing astral planes and hooking up with these, and then you actually do that, you're giving your permission. You've gone there. You've opened yourself up and you said, I want to see, I want to know. And then when you come back, you don't close the energy transfer. Now they're open to you and you're open to them. So they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. And until you say, I don't want to play this game anymore, I want to close the energy portal, they're going to stick around. They're going to fuck with us. You have to know how you are giving your free will to them. You may not be asking for it, but if you're saying, I believe in the devil, I believe that the devil is in me, I believe that the devil is doing this, the devil will say, your wish is my command. Why? Because you gave your free will to the spiritual consciousness energy that portrays the devil for you. I didn't think we were going to go here, but the divine said, explain it.
Yep.
You have all the power. You're the creator. You're the creator of your story. What do you want to believe? Do you want to do the polarity exchange of negative or positive? What do you want to do? We're supposed to go in and amongst it so that we can make a choice. But our higher being gets to choose which one it likes more. Are you going to be part of your higher being's choice and show them both and then give them the vibration of what it feels like? Hey, I don't like the way that feels. Let me go, No, we're going to go surrender that, and we're going to move into something that's for a higher and greatest good. Or are you going to stay in the vibration as, oh, this world is fucked and I can't get ahead and I'm always broke, and the generational curses, I'm just doomed to them. Well, then divine says your wish is my command. And these entities that are playing with us in our school, our school ground, the earth consciousness is so her playground is so big because her playground is 4th density, 5th density, 6th density, and go on up 144th density. And if you're already above that, you don't have to worry about this shit. You're responsible for what you let into your life energetically. The information that all these books and all these channeling is for our wisdom and understanding and our growth and expansion. Jesus did not come to be your hero. He did not come for you to put him on a pedestal. He came for wisdom and understanding. He didn't come to be a martyr. And he's been back since then, and his name wasn't Jesus when he came back.
People don't even realize that's narcissism. If Jesus was literally came here and was like, only I am connected to God. Only you can go through me in order to access God.
Right.
Do you guys realize that's literally the most extreme version of narcissism?
I'm telling you. Yeah. And Jesus said, Jesus didn't come to do that. Yeah, he may have tumbled over the tables in the market and had a hissy fit, but he was showing his human qualities. Like, I can't take this anymore.
Yep.
I'm throwing these seeds at them, and they're just, he was showing his indignation as a human being.
That was me a few days ago at the hospital.
Yeah. It's like, that was me like a while ago going, I can't take this. I'm giving seeds and people are literally contacting me and saying nasty things to me. It's like the first time I've ever had to block somebody. And then taking it upon myself that it was my fault that they didn't get whatever they needed to get. And the divine said, well, if you're ready, Sandra, if you want to calm down, if you want to stay in the form and have, cry a little bit more, okay. Be, taking it in and making it your fault, it's okay. But when you're ready, that's what the divine says, when you're ready. If you want to stay in ego a little bit longer, when you're ready. And the divine will let you stay in your ego till you die. Doesn't mean that it's your karma to come back and change it. If your higher being wants to come back as Sandee's, I don't know, great granddaughter to seek that essence of expression again, the higher being will do that. But guess what? You don't make a deal with your higher being that I'm done, and say the higher being says, okay, because you said it's done, I'm not going to play anymore. No, your higher being says, okay, you're done as Sandra, this physical body, but I'm coming back to, I don't know, be Marcus's great uncle or whatever, right?
I thought you were going to say cat. My great grandcat.
Right. This is playground. Our higher. It's okay if you want to think. A lot of people don't think they have a spirit at all, and the divine says, okay. The divine says, okay, I'm still experiencing a story. It doesn't matter if somebody. They don't. A lot of people don't think that. They think that evil people don't have a soul. And I was trying to explain to somebody that everybody comes in with a higher being. And then the divine said, don't argue it with them. They want you to argue. Because somebody sent me an email chain that I'm lying to myself. Well, I just went to the divine and said, I'm done. I don't want to give them any more seeds. And the divine says, you wanted to serve. Serve means that you serve knowing that everything is taken care of with you. That's the positive polarity. Positive polarity doesn't mean you're not going to interact with people who have negative polarity. Jesus had to interact with people who did not want him walking around vibrationally inspiring change. Now, the story that they don't tell you that they don't allow you to flow into is that both the people that wanted liberation from being enslaved didn't want to hear what Jesus had to say. And the people that were being in control and enslaving people didn't want to have Jesus as a martyr. So they got together. They were vibrationally on the same thought pattern. And Jesus knew it. He hung on that cross, knowing that this is what I'm here for. I said what I came to say vibrationally. Those who take the seed will plant it, and those who don't, this is what they do. It's third density. But Jesus had already mastered some stuff. Where was he for 33 years? Ra talks about that. He was learning how to master his energy. That's how he could take his body with him. To this day, they haven't found his body. That was a miracle. He mastered that. And he said, these things that I do, you will do and do greater. And greater things you will do. That's just for this earth density here. There's another density being another foreign planet somewhere else. Looking out at the stars, looking at our earth planet going, who's that? How can we get there? Right? I'm just saying. Back to you, Marcus. I'm just, whoa.
Back to me.
Drop the mic, right?
Oh, I love this, First thing I want to say is, I kind of like to think of it as like, think of the universe almost like a generator. We have these AI generators, these other different generators that we utilize. And what do we typically do with that generator? We type in or we program in what it is that we specifically want to manifest or co-create with that generator. So now think of that, but then think of that as the universe and our actual being, our soul. So with that being said, the universe is acting as a mechanical generator based off of what it is that you put intention and focus of energy into. And, existence is so infinite and so vast that all exist within existence already at once. So what the universe does is, okay, so you're putting into your generator, I am just a human being And I don't believe in any spiritual power or anything that has a sense beyond just my human life. So when you say that, and when you're putting that out into the universe, you're then putting that into the universe generator. And then that universe generator, then, due to your command as the image of the I am, it then formulates, all right, how can we put together an experience? How can we put together a form of existence that represents and embodies what it is that they are putting out into the universe through their intention and focus? So the universe has literally a being, a form, a body right there already created and available for you to experience based off of any degree of contrast that you put forward and put out into the universe. So, for example, if you want to say that there is a Satan, that there is a devil, well, in the illusion of existence, there is a Satan and there's a devil type of archetype of energy that you can go ahead and experience then, since you believe that it's real. So, same thing with Jesus, same thing with Ra, same thing with anything else, really. So, whatever it is that you want to believe in, then you can experience and will attract into your life. So, this is why affirmations are huge. You know, we are always doing affirmations, whether we're conscious of it or not. Affirmations are based off of repetition. It is based off of consistency. It is based off of intentional energy that's being utilized. And we are always doing this, conscious or unconscious. But the key is when you're becoming more conscious of thyself, and you're becoming more conscious of the vibrations, the thoughts, the attachments that you are having in your life, then you're able to start taking more of the keys to the car, and you're able to start driving more. And you can kind of take those handicaps off. So you're able to become more of that self-master, more of that conscious co-creator. And, you know, we quote unquote have different handicaps and other things until we are vibrationally ready for certain aspects of experience to take place. And it's all divine, every single bit of it. No matter how dark we are, no matter how light we are, there are things in place by the Creator that make sure that everything is in perfect balance, no matter where you're at in the contrast. And due to that perfect balance, you will meet a frequency, you will meet a mirror or a reflective experience that is able to resonate and be able to contain information or energy for you, to be able to give you opportunity, to be able to be an alchemist and transmute with that energy and with that experience in this beautiful contrast of duality that is also balance. So, you know, just reminders of that. And then I also have pulled up for you guys from the Ascension Glossary as well, a little bit about the being that we know as Jesus. And this is going to be information based on a universal and galactic standpoint, not a human Earth standpoint. And again, this is the ascensionglossary.com. It is amazing. You can literally type in anything about galactic beings, about galactic timelines, about Earth history, about different planetary systems, about different things like alien technologies, spiritual warfare, so many different things, timelines, artificial timelines. So, Iron Age Christos Sophia, Jesus Christ mission. All right. So it's saying here that Sirius B Christos mission to repair Giza and the Stonehenge Stargate. So it's saying here that the Giza pyramids and the Stonehenge are stargates. So it was a timeline repair grid work to prepare for the ascension timeline and reclamation of the Christos diamond sun body in the 2012 timeline. So 2012, there was a major energetic shift. They tried to distract us by using a whole propaganda ploy. So Guardian Yeshua, Jesus Christ is a Syrian blue human. So Syrian is a galactic being, a galactic species that comes from the star planet of Sirius. Sirius is a star planet that is basically like a parent to the Earth. The Earth is basically like a younger child version of Sirius. Sirius is also known and is connected to many different healing styles and healing modalities that we see throughout the cosmos. And Sirius is also home to Sirius A and B, one containing the canines. The Dogon tribe is connected to Sirius. The other Sirius is connected to water mammals, such as the whales and dolphins and other beings of that nature, which is why dolphins and whales are very high caliber, high vibrational with what they do, and the way that they speak their language is of Syrian nature, which is a higher vibrational consciousness. And that's why they seem a little bit more advanced at certain things metaphysically and are able to do what they do. So Syrian blue human from the future that came to change the third dimensional timelines. Now, when it says the future can also be represented as a higher dimension. So when we go into a higher dimension, that is kind of labeled as the future from this third dimensional dimension. It's labeled as the future due to its rate of vibration and how much speed and how quickly it's able to transcend time. So when you move into a third dimension, you're moving slower in time and space due to the density. So it seems like, the past compared to the higher dimensions, which is like the future. And it's a non-linear standpoint. So he came to change the third dimensional timelines and bring the S-series, Christos Templars, and the Law of One Ascension knowledge. And they actually have Law of One Ascension highlighted in here. And that's something that we can click on and actually read in depth if we would like to a little bit later. Law of One Ascension knowledge. And its consciousness technology back to planet Earth. This mission was in response to the DNA damage the planet and humanity had most recently suffered after the Luciferian rebellion, and then after the Sumerian Egypt invasion, which was the final destruction of the Mother Staff principle and the Earth core. His group mission, under the direction of the High Lyran Syrian Council. Lyrans are another high advanced galactic being species of light that is of high council that works with the Law of One. But says was to work with the future Earth 5D Terra. So the Earth has multiple names depending on which dimension you're referencing. The third dimension is Earth. The fourth dimension is Gaia. The fifth dimensional Earth is Terra. Multidimensional Templar crew called the Azurites. As a team, they were working with repairing the planetary architecture, doing soul retrieval from the Lemurian Holocaust and the Atlantean cataclysm. So it's referencing to the downfalls of Lemuria and Atlantis. There were souls that needed healing. There were souls that needed to reclaim fragments of their self from those cataclysms during those periods. This was also preparing the ley lines, the planetary grid network, and the planetary gates to help align for the ending ascension cycles in 2012. So yeah, that's just a little bit about Yeshua or Jesus from the planetary and galactic standpoint of our ascension glossary knowledge. And I'm gonna go ahead and get my Instagram up. We can keep going though.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, the questioner asks, then if the entity Jesus was fourth density and there are wanderers on the planet today who came from fifth and sixth density, what was it that Jesus did that enabled him to be such a good healer? And could these fifth and sixth density beings here now do the same? Okay, that's the question. Ra said, I am Ra. Those who heal may be in any density which has the consciousness of the spirit. This includes third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. The third density can be one in which healing takes place just as the others. However, there is more illusory material to understand, to balance, to accept, and to move forward. Okay, so I'm going to stop there because the divine wants me to share. There is a verse in the Bible where Jesus heals a man. And when he heals this man, he tells him, go directly home and tell no one. And when I was a kid, I used to always I would want to shout it from the rooftops. Why would Jesus tell him not to tell anyone? And then finally, later in my adult life, the divine said, because healing isn't just what Jesus did to this man. This man was open at the time to receive his healing. He played a part in it. He embodied it. He believed it. And Jesus said, go home, tell no one, because I want you to stay in that vibration. Because as soon as you tell someone, someone's going to say, no, you're not really healed. That didn't really happen to you. I don't believe that really happened. And if you're susceptible to being pulled down to a negative vibrational level about that, you'll lose the healing. Or actually, you'll just give the healing away. Right? Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. I went, ooh, okay. So we're playing a part. It's if Marcus gives you Reiki, you have to be a willing participant. You have to be a collaborator in receiving the energy for wherever he's giving you the healing. And remember, he's a component. He's a vessel for the divine that's flowing in through and as him as the healer. And you are the healer receiving healing. You go, what, Sandra? You just fucking confused me. But you are the divine receiving the healing in human form. So then Ra goes on to say, the gate to intelligent infinity can only be open when an understanding of the in-streaming of intelligent energy is open unto the healer. You have to be open to it. You can't go in with no embodiment of it. How does it feel? How would it feel for you to feel no back pain? Would you feel like jumping and shouting and playing? And would it be great for you to grab your tennis racket and go play? I mean, shit like that. Embodiment of like that. Would you be able to do sex all night because you can move your lower back or your body? Or healing in your hip flexors so you can praise dance. You have to be a collaborative component in your healing. And Jesus told this man, go straight home. Bask in your healing. Don't listen to anybody else. Don't tell anybody. Because they might not be joyous. They might not embrace your healing, right? Then Ross says, these are the so-called natural laws of your local space-time continuum and its web of electromagnetic sources, or nexi, of the in-streaming energy. Everybody has it. It's everywhere on this planet. There's not one place that you can not walk where you're not bumping up against the quantum field, the nexus. Everyone has this ability and gift to heal themselves. Your body has it. Your body knows how to do it naturally until you start talking to yourself about, oh, I got a cold. I've been guilty of that. Well, then if I say I've got a cold, my body says your wish is my command. Right? But you're constantly bumping up against that nexus of whatever vibration is moving and whatever you're open to. Some people are open to fasting and some people aren't. Some people take a different direction in their healing, in their cleansing of their body. It's not going to be one size fits all. Somebody might say, I can suggest fasting, and you can say, oh, okay, I'll try it. And you try it, and it's not, you do not believe it's for your highest and greatest good. You have embodied it. You have said it's not for your highest and greatest good. It doesn't feel good to you. And then you move on to find out what vibrational thing you can do for your body. And then guess what? You're sharing that. If it's working for you, you're sharing it with somebody else. You're handing them a seed saying, here, try this. Right? Then Ross says, know then first the mind and the body. Then as the spirit is integrated and synthesized, these are harmonized into mind, body, spirit. Right? Mind, body, spirit complexes. That's what we are. We're starting to learn how to integrate our spirituality, the divineness that is moving in and through and as us, as part of our physical form lifestyle. One size does not fit all. There are over 8 billion people who will not see everything the same way. And that's a gift that the divine has given to us. So it can move through, in, and as us, and have 8,000, or to say if we were just to have one experience, then the divine would have over 8 billion experiences. If we all had one each, one story each, that lasted our lifetime. Not even embracing change and evolution. The divine would seek itself in the fullness of the form. That's what it did when Jesus came. In that form. Yahshua. Whatever a label you want to call that beingness. He came on purpose, with a purpose. With a higher being. And yes, he was veiled just like we were. And if you want to believe that you are sinful and that you have to believe on you have to embody the Jesus embodiment and the blood of Jesus to make you not sinful anymore, the divine says that's your story. Let it be so. The divine says, nope, that's not it. That's not why I did that. The divine says, oh, okay, that's a story. That's an experience, right? Then Ross says, okay, let's say, thus healing self by light and sharing that light with others. Jesus had to go out into the desert and fight his ego at that point, when they were writing about him going out into the desert and having this deep discussion with the devil, that the divine told me early on, that was just the negative polarity of his ego trying to say, no, you can't do this. You didn't come to do that. They hate you. They're not gonna take you seriously. The words that you're saying aren't going to touch their hearts. They're not going to have unconditional love for you. And Jesus had to go back and forth with that. That's the internal healing that he had to do. He was no different than any other human then and now. And the divine, he didn't come to do it for us. He came to give us information so that we could do it for ourselves, so that we could collaborate with the divine in our inner healing and have an experience as a form body, as a higher being, and a conscious mind. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So Ra goes on to say, true healing is simple or slim. Oh, I'm going to have to drink some water and I'm going to listen to the divine say, slow my roll. True healing is simply the radiance of the self causing an environment in which a catalyst may occur, which initiates the recognition of self by self, of the self-healing properties of the self. So Jesus was doing Reiki well over 2,500 years ago. But the persons that were getting the healing, they embodied it. They played part in it. They were open to it. Back to you, Marcus.
That's it right there. It's it's one of the main components in the process of healing is, number one, out of your own free will, giving the consent with the universe that you are open to healing and that you are healing. This is one of the main simple things that is passed on through Reiki teachings when you become a practitioner is, number one, your client is the one that is actually ultimately allowing their self to heal from their self. And the practitioner is just a conduit. It's just a medium. It's just a channel for the higher consciousness, for Reiki energy. Reiki just means in Japanese, universal life force energy. So we channel that universal life force through our vessel, and then we move it through our hands and in other ways into the client. So what's happening is this energy then channels and then it transmutes into the client's energy field. And due to this energy being of consciousness, that consciousness knows already, due to the way it was created by the creator, exactly how to rebalance and bring restoration and fullness to the parts and the areas of our human being that are out of balance. So this is a very big game of, number one, having faith in the conscious energy, that it's going to know what to do when it gets into the energy field. And then number two, making sure that you are a vessel, making sure that you are an energy field that is clear and a beautiful, healthy container for that conscious energy to be able to express itself and to be able to make its way through as much as it can due to your clear channels. So this is why you hear a lot about spiritual hygiene, and as practitioners also really knowing how to cut energies off when you're done with them, knowing how to close out spaces so that you're not intertwining energies with other things going on throughout the day. You know, anybody can do this. Anybody can practice Reiki. We all have energy that flows through us, but there are some things, you know, there's principles and techniques that do come with it. And if we are going to maneuver and mess around with, you know, our own energy field and other people's energy fields in this type of depth, I would just say that there is responsibility and there's accountability, not just on a human level, but on a soul level that comes with it. Because we're altering and messing with not only ourselves, but somebody else's whole entire soul path when it comes to their being. So just be aware of that. And it's not something to fear. It's just something to consciously and maturely be aware of when stepping into this type of field. But yeah, so, you know, just like Jesus says in the Bible, you know, he talks about how, you know, the person that is to receive the healing through Jesus has to believe. They have to be able to believe in the healing, to believe in the conscious energy in order to receive it because of free will. And that's why every time I start a Reiki session, I just ask the client to simply state something along the lines of, I am open to receiving healing. It can be something as simple as that. And the next thing you know, you command that to the universe. Now the universe, just like we said earlier, is a generator. And now it starts generating. Okay, he's open to healing. How can we now attract and draw in experiences and energies that are going to support healing?
Hey, I love it when the divine just gives this flow. You know, I mean, the divine gives, you know, I just ask, okay, I'm open this morning. So what do I need to see with my spiritual eyes that I haven't seen? You know, show me. And then the divine says, okay, go to page so-and-so here. And I go, oh, we're talking about this today. The divine says, yeah, we're open because this is going to be something, somebody that sees this video, whether it in replay. And that's what the divine told me this morning. It's in replay. It's not necessarily somebody in right now, but in replay on Instagram or YouTube that is having this question as they're moving through their journey. And the divine said, it's a journey just like you went through. I went through being a Baptist little girl. I went through being a born again Christian. I went through asking all these questions until I got to what I considered spirituality, which is having a one-on-one relationship with, at that time, I was still using the word God, but going, oh, there's got to be, for me, there's got to be a better word than just God. Because as I saw that word, humankind was making themselves, was switching the polarities of them becoming God and God being something that was like, you know, passe. And then I just had to ask the question, who are you? And he said, he, she, it, because I used to always call them he, she, it, the divine. And the divine said, the divine, right?
He, she, it.
I caught myself, right? But
it's a he, she, it.
He, she, it. No, that was not, I was not dissing men. Come on. Don't take it there. But it's about getting to that one-on-one relationship with the divine that's in you. I finally started to understand that God wasn't outside of me. The creator wasn't outside of me. And then I got very bold and went, oh, now I understand what Jesus meant when Jesus said, I am in the Father and the Father is in me. We are one. And back then, well over 2,500 years ago, they were saying, blasphemy. You're saying you're God? But bring it forward to now. Hell yes, we are. Just in human form. And now it's believed by some scientists. I saw in a couple of YouTube kind of thingies and a document that scientists believe they did some tests and found out that human beings have a plethora, I'll use that word, of energy in them that you could plug in one human being and light up a city. I always knew that beforehand, but then when I was saying it to somebody else, they said, oh, scientists figured that out. And they went and they looked it up. Oh, it must be so. And I went, wait, if God said it already, God said, I am in you and you are in me. You are the creator. Ooh, that holds a lot of weight in third density. And then to find out that all the universal laws are always turned on. They're always listening to you. It doesn't matter whether you say you're unconscious to it. You're only unconscious to the fact that your higher being is being part of you subtly, and it's honoring your free will choices. But everybody has told you that you are form and that you are mind. And then they said, we'll seek God outward. Now we're learning about inward. And the unknown of the universe is you, inward. It's not, the universe isn't outside of you. There is a plethora of energy that cannot fill your vessel. So it's outside of you, yes, and it's constantly bumping up against the quantum, and it's and the universe is constantly on. So come on, even if you're not saying it out loud, but you're thinking inward that you're stupid, or you're thinking that you're an ass. Oh, so many people have told me I'm an asshole about that. I must be an asshole. The moment you say that, the moment you have that thought pattern about that, the universe says, okay, I got to give them a version of what an asshole looks like through them.
Yeah.
Right? If you say that you want to be a white person in the Aryan race, and that's all you think about from the time you get up in the morning till you go to bed, then the universe says your wish is my command. It opens doors so that you can be that hateful person, or a version of that hateful person, depending on how you're seeing it. That's your story. And the divine doesn't say no. The divine says, oh, it's an experience. If you want to be a Black man who does not understand the growth and expansion of you growing and being the most glorious Black man ever, if you want to stay in your story of being a victim, the universe is going to say, okay, I've got to open more doors for you so that you can walk into to be a victim. I'm a victim. Right?
Oh boy.
Oh. So if you're always talking about what happened over 200 years ago about slavery, and you're bringing that forward into your story, then the universe says, oh, I got to open another door. Yep. And then you walk into being a victim of some type of slavery. It might not be the color of your skin. It might be slavery, being a victim to slavery in your finances, or a victim to slavery in your family life. or a victim to slavery and being enslaved to friends who use and abuse you. And here we go. We put Jesus on this high status. We put him up there, but he was going through the exact same thing that we were going through in form body. He didn't just come here and he wasn't all spirit. He had a body. He had a mind. He was a baby. Everybody worshipped him when he was a baby. They took him myrrh and frankincense and everything else. And then he went away for 33 years. Ra is telling you in more reading, when we read more, Ra is going to tell you where he went and what he went to learn. And for those people who say, oh, I don't like books, the divine talks to you through books. Oh, I don't like movies, and I don't like workshops, and I don't like this, and I don't like that. The divine had to use our communication tools that we created so the divine could talk to you. Why? Because you asked the fucking question. You asked, what's my purpose? Why am I here? Why is life fucking with me? You asked those questions, and the divine said, I'm opening a door for you to step through so that you can find out. And then said, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, because you don't have to believe anything. Right? And the divine said, you believe in Ra? You believe this consciousness named Ra? I'm going to channel through Ra. You believe in Bashar? I'm going to channel through Bashar and give you some information. Right? You believe in Marcus? I'm going to channel through Marcus and give you the information. Oh, you believe in Sandra? Oh, she's such a glorious and great thing. Oh, I'm going to channel through Sandra. But I'm just the vessel. I say you welcome. I honor the fact that I'm a vessel. But then we take it back to the divine saying, you asked a question, here's your answer. Take it or leave it. Jesus wasn't any different than us. He was tempted by his own ego. And in the Bible, they called it Satan. And then there were people who chose to leave out books of the Bible. You do understand that each story was somebody's accounting of how they perceived Jesus at that time, and that's how the Bible got created. But you should understand, or will understand, or come to the understanding that the Bible is parables. And if you ask to see that which you cannot see with your physical eyes when you're reading, the divine will channel through you what it really means. And it's not going to mean the same thing for every person. And that's okay. Back to you, Marcus. Whoa, it's getting hot in here. Whoa.
So with all of that being said, there's something I wanted to share. But I want to see.
We are information going into formation. Oh, I love that. We are information going into formation, creating generations on a foundation.
Hydration check for everybody. Thank you, God Switching Co. Hydrate as we process this information, as it does dehydrate the being. So I want to pull up real quick I'll play just a little bit of this. It is the Gospel of Thomas. Gospel of Thomas is one of the removed books from the Bible. There are many other ones as well. The Book of Enoch, Book of Thomas, Book of Mary, as in Mary Magdalene, and there's a few others as well. So I wanted to share just a little bit of this for you guys, and you can look this up on YouTube or anywhere else. And this book specifically has a lot of quotes by Jesus or Yeshua regarding his disciples asking questions about, the kingdom of heaven and other things as well. And one of the most known quotes is the quote where they ask him about, how do I get into the kingdom of heaven? And then Jesus answers by saying, when you make the inside the outside and the outside the inside, when you're able to make male female and female male, then you're able to enter the kingdom. That's just part of the quotes that you find in the Book of Thomas. So I'll go ahead and play a little bit of this for us and just enjoy and, open up that mind's eye and that heart and just allow yourself to receive in your feminine nature.
The Gospel of Thomas. Translations by Thomas O. Lambdin, Coptic version. B.P. Grenfell, A.S. Hunt, Greek fragments. Bentley Leighton, Greek fragments. Commentary by Craig Schenk. The Gospel of Thomas is a collection of traditional sayings, logoi, of Jesus. It is attributed to Didymos Judas Thomas, the doubting Thomas of the canonical Gospels, and according to many early traditions, the twin brother of Jesus. Didymos means twin in Greek. We have two versions of the Gospel of Thomas today. The first 1800s among the Oxyrhynchus papyri and consists of fragments of a Greek version which has been dated to circa 200 AD finds. Thomas was probably first written in Greek, or possibly even Syriac or Aramaic, sometime between the mid-1st and 2nd centuries. There has been much speculation on the relationship of Thomas to the canonical Gospels. Many sayings in Thomas have parallels with the New Testament sayings, especially those leads many to believe that Thomas was also based on the so-called Q document, along with Matthew, Luke, and Mark. Indeed, some have speculated that Thomas may in fact be Q. Unlike the Synoptic Gospels, and like Q, the Gospel has no narrative connecting the various sayings. In form, it is simply a list of 114 sayings. In parallels, show that Thomas contains either more primitive versions of the sayings or developments of more primitive versions. Either way, Thomas seems to preserve earlier. Although it is not possible to attribute the Gospel of Thomas to any particular sect, it is clearly Gnostic in nature. As the preamble indicates, these are secret sayings and are intended to be esoteric in nature. The sayings are not intended to be interpreted literally, as their New Testament parallels often are, but to be interpreted symbolically, as attested by saying, while a literal interpretation may make sense, only by understanding the deeper meanings of the sayings can one truly understand them. Thus, in saying number 114, it is to be understood that male symbolizes the pneumatic, spiritual or Gnostic Christians, and female symbolizes the psychic, unenlightened, or Orthodox Christians. Keep in mind that true understanding of this text was meant to come from personal contact with the divine, inspiration from within. I will now present translations of both the Greek Gospel of Thomas, of the 114 sayings in the complete work, and all of the fragments of the Greek text.
Marcus, it keeps
Also,
going in and
the
out.
Greek version contains one saying not found in the Coptic version, which comes between sayings 32 version first. After both translations, I've provided a listing of New Testament parallels for all 114 sayings for easier comparison. Note that for the Coptic version, I use the standard NHL translation, except for saying 70, where I have substituted the translation found in Elaine Pagel's The Gnostic Gospel of Poverty. 4. Jesus said, the man. 2. Jesus said, let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all. 3. Jesus said, if those who lead you say, see, the kingdom is in the sky, then the birds of the sky will precede you. If they say to you, it is in the sea, lead you. Rather, the kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will become known. You dwell in poverty, and it is you who are that poverty. Four, Jesus said, the man old in days will not hesitate to hold about the place of life, and he will live. For many who are first will become last, and they will become one and the same. 5. Jesus said, recognize what is in your sight, and that which is hidden from you will become plain to you, for there is nothing hidden which will not become manifest. 6. His disciples questioned him and said to him, do you want us to fast? How shall we pray? Do not tell lies, and do not do what you hate, for all things are plain in the sight of heaven, for nothing hidden will not become manifest, and nothing covered will remain without being uncovered. 7. And cursed is the man whom the lion consumes, and the lion becomes man. 8. And he said, net into the sea, and drew it up from the sea full of small fish. Among them the wise fisherman found a fine large fish. He threw all the small fish back into the sea and chose the large fish without difficulty. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. 9. Took a handful of seeds and scattered them. Some fell on the road. The birds came and gathered them up. Others fell on the rock and thorns. They choked the seeds, and worms ate them. And others fell on the good soil and produced good fruit. It bore 6. Jesus said, fire upon the world, and see, I am guarding it until it blazes. 11. Jesus said,
Marcus,
this heaven
they're
will pass
commenting
away, and the one above it will
freeze
pass away.
on there again.
It's when you consumed what is dead, you made it what is alive. When you come to dwell in the light, what will you do? On the day when you were one, you became two. But when you become two, what will you do? 12. The disciples said to Jesus, we know that you will depart from us. Who is to be our leader? Jesus said to them, wherever you are to go to James the righteous, for whose sake heaven and earth came into being. Compare me to someone and tell me whom I am like. Simon Peter said to him, you are like a righteous angel. Matthew said to him, you are like a wise philosopher. Thomas said to him, Master. Jesus said, I am not your master. Because you have drunk, you have become intoxicated by the bubbling spring, which I have measured out." And he took him and withdrew and told him 3 things. When Thomas returned to his companions, they asked him, "What did Jesus say to you?" Thomas said to them, "If I tell you one of the things which he told me, you will pick up stones and throw." 14. Jesus said to them, "If you fast, you will give rise to sin for yourselves, and if you pray, you will be condemned. And if you give alms, you will do harm to your spirits. When you go into any land and walk about in the districts, if they receive you, eat what they will set before you, and heal the sick among them."
It was freezing for a lot of them. Okay.
Sometimes you just gotta keep on moving through and allow the energy to be received despite the distractions.
Yeah. Yeah. But definitely see, and all that we talked about was everything that Thomas was saying, was recording, right? And once I finally understood that the Bible was kind of like excerpts of people's diary of how they interacted with the Joshua, right? And understood why, certain things were left out, because certain parts of certain diaries of other people were giving the information from the divine on how we can be triune. For me, I love that word. The divine gave me that word when I was in my early, or actually late teens, as triune, because I always questioned the triune of Christianity: God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Ghost. And I always asked, is there more? Come on. So for me to find out that I'm triune, that I can bring it from out there or up there into, oh, God is in here, and my higher being is like the not only the divine, but it is also what you would call the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit. And it was taught to me that the divine creates, and then the Holy Spirit or Holy Ghost, depending on what church you went to, was the action of the divine. It moved things. So there was God the Father, God the Son, and then the Holy Ghost was the machinery that moved the divineness everywhere from outside of us. And to find out that this person, Joshua, or Jesus, as you may know him, went through the same physical forms and spiritual formalities and thought processes as I did. And the fact that this divine entity has been back, has reincarnated several times. And that I do have to go shortly, but that we'll pick up on that in book 2, because they asked the question: who is, and Ra is going to give an answer that you can resonate with or not. But it's like picking it up. I just they even asked this entity, Jesus, what density is he in now? I mean, if you're going to ask the higher being a question, make it so. Ask the divine something that you really, really want to know, that's going to really rock your world. And I guarantee that from inward, that energy of that embodying question that you're asking is going to vibrate so that the divine opens a door for you to step through for that information. But it's going to be unknown, and it's going to be scary until you step through it and make it known. Right? I'm just saying, don't be, when I was coming up and moving into my born again Christian stage, there was, TV is of the devil, so no TV. I was doing this process with my kids, no TV. Cartoons were evil, so my kids weren't watching TV for a while. Music, it's secular or religious, and they weren't dancing anymore. I had to make an internal choice going, well, wait a minute, what is this separation doing for my highest and greatest good, not only of myself, but of my children? And is this what the divine wants for me and my children as a story? What it did was it put me in separation. Yet in the church, they were talking about wholeness. When Jesus went to the desert, he went to the desert of his own accord, not because somebody told him to go be separate. He went because he needed to have questions answered. Now I'm finding when I watch TV shows or sometimes sitcoms, even drama, not for me, not so much horror, but sometimes horror, because they'll always have the divine will always have a line or two that goes, "Ooh, I didn't think they would go there with that." But that's information and wisdom and understanding. And a lot of my sci-fi movies, now I understand about the vibration. I understand about the density of the story. I understand about, gravity, and, gravity not just being a force to be reckoned with, it's a force to create with. So I remember the first time somebody ever told me, "Oh, the TV is the boob tube. You shouldn't watch that." And somebody told me, I haven't had a TV since I was for 20 years. But yet they have a newspaper that they're constantly reading about and indoctrinated their body into of negative energy from the news. All right. So take what resonates with you. Leave what doesn't. How do you leave what doesn't? You just leave it as energy. Don't judge it. Just leave it there. Once you judge it, you take on that energy. And that energy takes form about you judging it. But if you've got some information that you believe is for your highest and greatest good, when you focus on that, that's what you're creating from. Back to you, Marcus. I wish I didn't have to go. Oh my God.
That's okay. I think it's a good place to close out. It's going on 2 hours now. And I mean, there is so much beautiful information and reminders throughout this episode, especially when you think about, the wisdom of Jesus on top of the different visual information that was presented. I definitely trust that there is plenty of soul food throughout this episode for everybody to really take and process and integrate as needed. And I just feel so honored. I feel so blessed and grateful to be sharing these spaces and to be able to connect to, these energies, these guides, and be able to just be a container for whatever information and whatever messages are received by whichever one of you guys out there are tapping in, whether it's now live or some other time and space. I'm just really grateful for it all. And it's such a beautiful and such a profound feeling inside when you start to remember that you are equal to someone of the caliber of Jesus and what Jesus was able to access and bring into this planetary grid system through Christ consciousness. I mean, just wow, to really think about that for a moment, like, take a moment and just look at yourself, look at your hands, look at your body, look around you, and just take a breath for a moment and just really feel your heart. Feel that infinite love that's flowing through you, even when you're not paying attention to it. Even when you're going through your hard times or the good times, that Christ consciousness is always permeating and is always there. And it can always be accessed as long as we give our own free will and consent to access Christ consciousness within ourselves. And yeah, I'm just grateful to share the space, grateful to be a mirror, and grateful to be an aspect of the all.
Me too. I'm thankful and grateful. I'm thankful and grateful for Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, Muhammad consciousness. I mean, we could go on and on. Because they were open vessels just as we are. There are so many vibrational, they are open vessels just as every entity. Hold on. Sorry. Woo. Let it go. That when Earth consciousness first made her call, because she was being pulled down the densities, right? She was being pulled down third density. She found out that the higher beings wanted to play there. And she was in fifth density with the story that she had created through the divine, that she wanted to have a form body and do the things that she did in formless. She wanted two things. She wanted to shift, and she wanted to evolve, and she wanted to have a form body. And then the third thing is she told daddy, or in this case, what the divine is saying, mommy, daddy, spirit, I want to play, and I want to have a playground big enough so that I can ask my playmates to come and play. So they started that in fifth density. But a lot of the higher beings that were in the playground, they were exploring, which is what we are. We're explorers. And they explored that they got more playtime in fourth density and a lot more playtime in fifth density. So Earth consciousness had to call the waves of volunteers to keep her from being pulled down. She needed light quotient. And every being from everywhere in the divine answered her call. All those aliens that we think are so bad for us, they came with purpose. Was Earth consciousness giving them their light energy. They came and took on form bodies, human bodies. They came and became clouds and trees and whatnot, just so they could vibrate light quotient, so she could raise her vibration. So maybe not all of them liked the positive polarity. Maybe some of them really liked the negative polarity. They really liked the control thing. And they wanted to play in the playground like that. Doesn't mean you have to conform to staying a higher being with the form body in that playground, on the tetherball court, or on the baseball court, or on the basketball court. You get to it's not a binding contract like humans have contracts. It's a contract that higher beings got together and said, hey, think of yourself as a child. Hey, I want to play Cowboys and Indians. That's what they called it when I was a child. Okay. And higher beings said, okay, well, we'll have to be some of the Cowboys and you'll be the Indians, and then we'll play. And then there were children who said, I'm tired of being the Indian. I want to switch and I want to be a cowboy. Or I don't want to play at this at all. And that's what our story is. And higher, the beingness of earth consciousness said, okay, this being in the lower fourth density and third density gives us more things to play at. I need an earth body that can handle third density. And I need to have my playmates have a body that can handle third density. Because in fourth density and fifth density, there's not a negative polarity. It's just all one polarity. Why? So that we have something to grow and expand to and evolve to. And all this wisdom and understanding that you're getting from the books of Ra or the Divine Design or the Three Waves of Volunteers or any of Dolores Cannon's books or any of Michael Beckwith's books or Michael Singer's books or Michael Newton's books, they're just giving you information that you can either use for your highest and greatest good or just go, that's not me. And take the book and go, nope. And say, nope. And then you find one book and say, ooh, yes. And you vibrate that way. And you create that way. Marcus and I are called to have this collaboration because it's wisdom and understanding has to flow. And we're the vessel. Thank you for being here today. 2 hours to allow the information of wisdom and understanding to flow. Now it's up to you to take what you need from it for your highest and greatest good and create with it. Thank you so much for being part of this live. My throat is like, love and light, light and love. All be well. Thank you.
Uatia ukuta ishimiata ikitiata usupaya ushiana ta yakiatuta ipiana chigata. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a beautiful day, and we will be back on Sunday for the next episode, episode 10. We are on episode 10 of the Raw Material Law of One, Ascending Beyond Limitations, and we will be live at 3:33 p.m. Pacific Time, 6:33 p.m. Eastern Time this coming Sunday on the 7th for 7/7. That'll be an interesting energetic gateway that we'll be connecting with. And we're actually currently also in the midst of the Sirius Gateway portal. We just mentioned Sirius earlier, the star constellation and its connection to Jesus and his blueprint missions. So if you are not aware yet, feel free to research a little bit about Sirius healing energy, and the type of things that you can tap into when it comes to the gateways of Sirius. And you can also go on YouTube and you can look up Sirian or Sirius meditations, as well as Sirius healing frequencies. And they are very beautiful to interact with. Sandra?
And also to let you know, Jesus consciousness, Jesus had the Syrian blueprint. We have the blueprint. We all have a blueprint. Our divine is our divine, what you might call your soul or higher being or spirit, is always taking a deep dive into the blueprint that's in your DNA. It left notes for itself of what it wanted to seek and what it wanted to see and how it wanted to play. You want to know what's next? Take a seat at the seat of your soul and ask your higher being an embodying question about you, and then just receive. Be open. Now we're going to close it out. Are you going to close this out? This energy exchange out?
Yep, indeed.
Mm.
With that being said, just take a moment to take a breath, just to gather all the energy from this space. Just really allow that breath to be felt throughout the body. And let it all go out of the mouth. May this space now be closed. May we begin and move forward into a new cycle. And may this information be discerned and integrate in balance and wholeness for each of us in its own authentic way. Everybody, remember to hydrate, treat yourself well. Remember your balance, masculine and feminine. And we will see you guys again on Sunday. Wholeness and balance, love.
One love. The law of one. Peace,
The law of
love,
one.
joy. They are in you. They are you. Your awareness being what? Aware. Be blessed.
Ashe.
Ashe.